Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. Booyah, there it is. Okay, we're recording. We're live. We are crushing this thing, and I am stoked. You guys missed it. The podcast is half over. Literally, the guest and I, we were chatting already about some great topics. So much fun. It was all I could do to just move my finger and hit record. So we're going to get this thing started, but great conversations. I'm so looking forward to continuing them here. My guest, he is a thought leader to the stars, an actor, an entrepreneur, a speaker, a feature film and commercial producer. Enter the Dangerous Mind. He's also an author, Rise of the Entrepreneur. That will be interesting to talk about. CMO of the Video Bot and CEO of the RIP Media Group, Maury Rogow. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Hi.
Yeah, man. Dude, this is awesome. I'm glad you're here. You know, we were talking Tony Robbins and all sorts of cool events beforehand, but we're gonna start this thing off strong. I'm gonna step out of the way and put on protective hard hat and glasses. I'm gonna pass you this. Okay.
Whoa, Thor's hammer.
Yeah, I know you work out there in Venice Beach. You grab that thing? Okay, nice. You
got it.
All right.
I'm worthy.
Man, you just one-handed grabbed Thor's hammer. Thing weighs like 1 metric ton. Okay. Take Thor's hammer, smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Set the record straight once and for all.
Awesome. We got the best product in the market. We don't have competition. Crash. That's what I want to crush. And there's so many reasons, so many ways. So, you know, you have technology founders, you have technology marketers. I'm dealing with some right now. And the problem is the best product doesn't win. The best story wins. You have got to tell the best story about solving a problem more than your competition, more than the people that you don't even think, oh, we don't even have competition out there. Oh yeah, you do. You have competition in ancillary markets that are your partners. Everybody is competing and everybody has about 1,000 competitors out there, whether they're large or small. You just don't know it. So you got to address a need. You've got to solve a problem. And here's the big one. You got to put a stake in the ground. I love Thor's hammer. Like just boom. Thor's
pound
hammer
that stake in the ground.
Yeah. Stake in the ground. Pow. And take a chance. You got to be a 1 or a 10. And what I mean is you got to go for your audience. You can't win the world over. You know, people forget, oh, Facebook, they have, you know, with 3 billion people. Okay. They started off at one college with boys, 18 to 21, right? That's how they won their first market. And then they expanded out to another, let's include more people. It was the Facebook and the whole thing. And it kept growing and growing because they went for one market and they won it and they didn't care about anything else at that time.
Right. It was like EDU addresses, right? You like when it first came out, I couldn't even get in it because I had to find my old .edu address and like, oh, because they would only let you sign up if your email address ended in .edu, like you were actively a college student.
Exactly right. And what was that one that they crushed? Friendster. They crushed Friendster, right? And then, of course, they crushed MySpace and then everybody else. But we were all on Friendster, and everybody was like, "Wait, what is this thing?" Like, oh, I can't get on it. They created exclusivity.
Yeah.
Right. They didn't care about you yet. Maybe you could get in if you could find that old email address, but they made it tough to get in. And so this is a great point. So with that EDU address, I was saying be a 1 or a 10. So get this audience to love you. Put your marketing out there, own your audience, get them to absolutely love you, talk about you, share what you're doing, or be a 10 and they hate you. And they're still going to talk about you and they're going to talk about you and they're going to hate the ones and the ones are going to come back and forth. And guess what just happened? You just created a virtual loop of marketing. Yes. Right. And you can see in politics over the last 4 years that happened. You can see in many products out there, when you take a stake and you put it in the ground, this is us and this is what we stand for, you can win millions and millions of people, millions and millions of customers. So be a 1 or a 10. Don't be middle of the ground milquetoast. Oh, we're the best product. We don't have competition, so we're just going to tell a basic story. Not true at all, right? So there's 3 things there. Like you can't win everybody. Number 1, you got to pick your audience. The best product doesn't win, the best story wins. And you got to put a stake in that ground and say, this is what I stand for. These are the people that I have passion for. And it's not the passion in your product. It's the passion for solving the customer's problem with your product. That's a huge difference. You got to start talking about them, not you. And then they'll come around to you.
the passion for solving. Man, this is one of the strongest. My hand is going crazy over here trying to write notes. Um, Myths being smashed. This has got to go in the top 10, if not number one, in terms of the myth smashing. There's so many things to pick apart here. So I'm just gonna go with milk toast. Tell me, what the hell is milk toast? I think
Milk toast. Yeah.
what is it?
With milk toast. I don't know the origin of it, but milk toast to me means bland. Doesn't mean it. You want milk and toast all the time, every day. You're like, no, I want my steak. I want my lobster. I want something good. I want to, so milk toast is just this bland message. Oh, la da da. Here's what we do. Here's our explainer video. We kind of do this stuff. Aren't we cool? Look at our neat stuff. Nobody cares. Nobody has time for that. You got to
Right.
put a stake in the ground. Like, you have a problem, right? And so, and here's, it comes down to here's how you don't be milk toast.
Yeah.
Here's how you got to have some guts and don't be milk toast. We're creating commercials all the time, right? So we're creating branding and commercials
That's
and
exciting.
videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I've boiled this down over years of doing this. We created 1,200 commercials and brand launches and things like that. And I started, when I got out here, I started looking at, here to Hollywood, like, what makes a great scene? What makes a great movie? What makes a great commercial? And I started boiling it down to a few things, and those are emotions. There's basically 5 strong emotions. Oh, we don't want to use emotions to sell. We're a B2B software. It doesn't matter. In fact, even better, because everybody else is selling, oh, we're accounting software, so we do these numbers better, whatever. You are going to be the one that makes their life better. They'll be better, stronger, faster, able to go home and play soccer with their daughter, go to the big game. Like, that's what we really want.
Yeah.
Get people what we really want. Don't be milk toast. Take a stake in the ground. And so the emotions that you use to not be milk toast, can you do something that's sexy or sizzles? I call it the stuff. Backing up, it's the stuff.
The
So it's
stuff.
an acronym, the stuff. So anything that you do, is there any way you can be, sexy or have style or do something that sizzles, right? Oh my gosh, we're accounting software. We can't do that. Oh yeah, you can. You can show people experiencing something that you've afforded them to be able to do. They have more time, so now they can go on that vacation. They have more time, they can play with their daughter. They have more time, they can get into great shape. Whatever it is, know your audience. So sexy, sizzles.
Can I stop right there? I'd love to
Yeah.
can you create a little commercial in all of our heads right now as we're listening to this for accounting software? Like, what would you how would you bring sexy back? How do you
Bring sexy back to accounting software?
And I know you
All
haven't
right.
researched the audience and all that, but like,
Yeah. Sure. All right. So accounting software, again, we're riffing here. So
yeah.
I follow, like, when I'm a spot like this, I need to do something quick. I go to my epic structure. Epic is easy. It's the 4 steps to a commercial. Engage and show empathy. P, what's the problem they're experiencing? I, what's the impact and the integrity that you're going to bring to the solution? And C, what's the change in their life? What's the call to action? All right. So follow that. 35-year-old woman going to work, bored, crazed out of her mind. She has stacks of paper waiting for her. You can do this in 5 seconds. Walks in with just a sad look on her face, like just beaten up. Like the walls are gray. Everything is gray. She's gray. And you see these stacks of paper, emails stacking up, all this kind of stuff. And she's just droning on. Boom. That's the problem. And we have empathy. We've all kind of felt like that.
Yeah.
The problem is she's got to do all this by 5 o'clock, or the company's going to go, right, you're going to miss their quarterly numbers and they can't report whatever it is. So we create a big problem, and then boom, light shines, God light, clouds open. Maybe she turns, again, I'm making this up.
From grayscale to full color.
Yeah, she's in full color. Maybe, things around her are still gray, but she's in full color.
Yeah.
She's in full color. And then she's just like, maybe she grows 6 arms and she's typing it. But then we see like the calm that was kind of in her mind. But is just this cool new accounting software that just started logging things and accounting, organizing things. And it took all the different invoices and it flowed through. So she has like 6 numbers to check. Click, 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 click. Off. Now she's off. Now she's having lunch with her friends. Then she's playing with her daughter and her son, and she drives off. Boom. XYZ software gave her life back. That you threw me on the
Gave
spot.
you your life back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this year's a
Financialfigleaf.com, like
nice.
giving you your life back one soccer practice at a time, bah. I like that,
Boom.
man. No, I look that epic structure makes sense too. And none of that was like, look how cool we are. Look at all our cool features. Look at how we're in the cloud. Look, we're
Right.
amazing. No.
Exactly.
Like features
That was
later, how it impacts you now.
That's exactly it. So it's
Yeah.
especially top of funnel. So, and again, I guess I left out the call to action, which would be, click here to get your free version or whatever, to change
Yeah.
your life now, try this, get a demo, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's top of funnel. It's awareness. It's we understand you and your problem, and we're here for you. Then in those second and third steps, because somebody's like, okay, great, I'm going to buy this for my 50 employees today. There's a
Mm-hmm.
decision-making process.
Right.
So the next one's yes, then you can do some deeper dives. You still want to go with that theme, right? Change your life now, change your life through, whatever it is, invoicing or, through accounts payable. And then you can do some of those feature videos. Of course, you got to do those. That way you don't have your salespeople and your marketing team sitting there on calls for, at $50, $100 an hour doing demos all day. Your videos are doing that work for you.
Yeah.
So you grab them with the videos are walking them through the deeper dives in the product. And then the videos bring them all the way to, what? They have some open questions. Perfect. That's
Right.
when we get somebody on the phone to start to close the deal, to start to build a real, relationship, because they already know, like, and trust you. So now let's bring them to that next step, which is engage.
This is kind of a cool breakthrough for me thinking about this concept is that we can in the B2B world still borrow, we can still have the sexy, the style, the sizzle, make it epic, have that theme, and then now back it up with the logic because you got to convince the boss, you got to make sure the features are all so still have that, but have its place in time. And then I love that they're all passing the torch, like the Olympics torch is going around the world, and you had the sexy at the beginning with the kickoff, but now you're going to have particular things so that everyone's got their check mark checked. But is that same theme. We're giving everyone their life back. CEO,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about checking on this stuff. Accounting person, you get out, you go to soccer practice, and that makes it more cohesive. So we're not just like randomly throwing out tactics at people.
Right.
Cool. I
Right.
like that.
Exactly. Yeah. You have your overall, your overall voice, right? I mean, you have your overall voice and your overall, problems that you solve, and then everything feeds off of that. And we're kind of getting into this, and which is, I call this the core technique, which is create once, repurpose everywhere. I have a ton of acronyms. It helps me remember things because my creative brain is all over the
Man, you
place. So
got
I'm like,
acronyms. Yeah.
I got
Like the
I got
Merlin of
acronyms.
acronyms.
I really do. Because then I'm just like, plug that one in, because otherwise I'll be going on for, an hour. So create the big pieces of content. And this comes from that really great story. Can I tell this quick
Dude,
example?
story time with Maury. Let's do this, man.
All right.
Wait, can I grab some
So
popcorn and a little soda pop?
absolutely get that popcorn bowl. And before the first one pops, I'm going to be done though. This is quick. The professor comes into the classroom, then he's got his jar and he's got some things on the side. All right, I'm going to put the rocks in here. Here's this, pours all the rocks inside. The jar, holds it up. Is this full? Everybody said, yeah, that's full. Oh, it's full, huh? I'm going to pour some pebbles in now. Oh, fills up all those little cracks and nooks and crannies and stuff like that. Is it full now? Yeah, it's full. Okay, now I got some sand, fills in even more. Oh, okay, now it's full. Then he pours in some water. Now it's actually full. And the problem is, people usually start off with the water and the sand. I got this thing to do. I got to market this. I got to do a little account-based marketing. I got to go over here for this again. I got to create a commercial here. I got to blah, blah. You can't. You got to start off with those rocks, the big pillars. And we do videos. So these are expensive things. It's not like a $80 blog. It's, it could be whatever, a few thousand, could be 80,000, but videos, they're the big pieces. And then you start to, rock, pebble, sand, water, those. So you take the big piece, the commercial, take a 30-second, a 15, and a 6-second. We do those cut downs, big piece of content. Now you get 5 pieces of content. Then I can actually introduce different products. So then I can double that. Now I got 8 pieces of content from one main video. Then I can write a blog on it. then or multiple blogs on it, multiple blogs on different pieces, right, of the epic structure. There's you, there's the audience. We can talk right to you with this blog and show that part of the video. Then there's the problem. We can talk right, so you have this
Yeah.
one thing becomes about 20 pieces of content that will live on for months. And it's still your story, it's your core story. So we love doing that. And that's kind of
Yeah. It's
how it
evergreen
came.
too, right? So a lot of it doesn't even expire. It's a question they're asking now and they're going to be asking later. And if you can answer it now, you've got that question answered and you can move forward.
You got a library. You got like an asset library for your
Yeah.
salespeople, your marketing people, and in your blogs. Oh, we just wrote on that, or we just put this together. And um, I'll be honest with you. I got this again. I came out here. I was in marketing and sales for tech companies, and when I came to Hollywood, I realized pretty quickly my, corporate storytelling was good, but it wasn't like this. So I started looking at like the biggest and the best.
Yeah.
I thought Disney does this amazingly well. Like Disney is just rock solid. You can see people trying to copy them or emulate them. What do they have? Well, they have a children's story that becomes a movie. The movie becomes a TV show, becomes billions of dollars in toys and action figures and shirts and this and that. And then it becomes a theme ride. So the whole thing, every product is a loop. It's a full loop. It's a full marketing loop. I went over here, I saw the Frozen ride. Now we're going to go home and I'm going to show, Frozen on TV, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like everything bounces off each other. It's frankly brilliant. And it doesn't mean that just because you have accounting software or you're selling hats, you can do the same thing. You can just kind of learn from them how to monetize marketing. So
Love this. Love this. And I love that we have this connection to Hollywood and storytelling because story is just so powerful. You were talking, I want to take you back because I know I distracted you with many different questions, having you run out a whole ad scenario. But the idea of you talk about emotions, you talk about the stuff. Are there any other things in that list that make good story, that make great content to help us avoid being milk toast?
Oh yeah. So again, I talked about being a 1 or a 10, like, take a
Yeah.
stand against something, and people would rather avoid, pain than they will go to pleasure. So it's almost like attack the problem and, maybe attack the enemy, the competition, whatever, as strong as you can. So I have those, this stuff. I also have, there's a lot, that goes into this because you typically don't tell a story that's what I call on the nose, right? You don't tell the story about accounting necessarily about the accounting software. That's too boring. You show the life and the experience, but you always want to create, you want to create a metaphor. You want to create something that's an analogy, right? Something that people can relate to. So I started looking at this and then I came up with 10 rules of great story. And I put all this stuff like in an infographic that I can email you or something if you,
Yeah.
so,
We can link
yeah.
to it as well. But do you want to
Sure.
you want to share the 10? That sounds awesome.
Sure. Yeah. So, and we're talking about them every day when we're going through customer scenarios. So first rule of great story. And we put a real fun blog together. It's the 10 commandments of great story.
Hell yeah.
Whatever I'm Moses and I'm pointing with
You have like big tablets in your hands.
with the beard. And I was like, you know what? I'm okay with this because it's Charlton Heston, the
Right.
actor mocking up. It wasn't. So anyway, yeah, I've got the tablets and the whole thing. So first commandment is know thy audience. Know your audience. You've got to know who you're talking to. If you're talking to the world, you will lose. You talk to a specific audience and win them over. They will start to talk. They will start to, branch out. The other people are going to contact you. I love what you're doing for them. Can you do that for us? Don't be afraid of going niche. Know your audience. Love fixing their problem. And then you can kind of build from there. Second thing is you got to disrupt. You can't be scared. This is the 1 or the 10 again. You got to put that stake in the ground and you got to do something, especially now with the YouTube and Instagram TV and scroll within 4 seconds. You better do something really eye-catching, really catching. So disrupt their day, interrupt the pattern of thinking. I'm scrolling. Whoa, what's that? That's what you need. That's what you want. So that's what disrupt's all about. Again, in a nutshell here. We always talk about sell the hole, not the drill.
Wait, what? You gotta give me numbers. I'm gonna
Oh, I'm
Moses.
sorry. Okay. First, know your audience.
Yes, I got that one.
Second,
Wait,
disrupt.
maybe now I'm Moses and you're God. And you're conveying these to me.
That's nice. The third rule
Wait,
is,
wait, sir. What was number 2?
I'm sorry, disrupt.
Okay, right. That was disrupt. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
I think
one,
this
know
is
your
what
audience.
Moses did. He's like, I know. Could you repeat that? It's really slow chiseling in stone over here.
That's right.
Didn't have pens and papyrus and stuff. Okay, disrupt. Got
I
it.
forgot my papyrus roll.
Right.
Um,
You forgot it again.
my
Use this
tablet.
stone.
He's like, you have a tablet. Oh, that's the tablet from 2020. That's a
Yeah.
stone tablet.
And do you think he was taking so long chiseling? God was like, okay, move out of the way. I'm gonna do this with lightning. Move out of the way. It's like watching your kids do homework. But okay. So
Right.
he's
Just
like,
out of the way. Out of the way. Let me do this.
14 plus 8. I got this. Move out of the way. I got this. Okay. Sir, which is 3?
3 is sell the hole, not the drill. So sell the solution, right? I mean, it's the old story, but you said it earlier. You're like, don't talk features, talk benefits. That's really the same thing, but I think very visually. So it's, if you're in Home Depot, you don't hear about like, oh, I got this many bits and this much power and this much torque. I don't know what the hell that means. I just need to,
Yeah.
I need to drill a hole in my door to put a doorknob on there.
Right.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll do this. And here's the doorknob that goes in. Cool. I'm doing this myself.
Sweet.
That's what I do. Okay, so focus on the experience. So I'm not trying to trump up my own, commercial that I off the cuff, the woman going from the gray world to the color world kind of thing. For the accounting
Someone was listening in accounting software, and you're welcome.
so, I wasn't.
If they want to create that commercial, they should probably reach out to you to have you make it happen.
Rip Media Group. So, so focus on the experience. What are people experiencing? What's the change? What are they going through? GoPro, again, for its first 10 years exploded in growth because they were, you will be an awesome surfer. You will be an awesome biker. You'll be an awesome skier, snowboarder. They threw the GoPros on these helmets of all these, like extreme sports folks.
Yeah.
They were amazing videos, right? So
Yeah.
before a lot of other, cameras, phones, everything could do that, they were out there doing that. But it wasn't like everybody else selling, oh, we're 3 inches by 2 inches and we have a shutter speed of that. No, you're awesome if you can can do this.
Right.
This guy's awesome. You can be awesome too. He's on a surfboard with the camera. Isn't this cool? I've never seen a shot like that.
Right.
So
you're awesome. Don't worry, it's waterproof. Just do you. Don't worry about speed and all that nerdy stuff. Just do it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that was number 4. All right, I'm going slow. All right, so 5 is raise the stakes. So it has to do with what we talked about at the beginning, but in a little bit of a different way. So if your salespeople are talking about, or your marketing people or your marketing messages, like this is a nice to have, you ain't getting purchased. People aren't going to buy a nice to have. You know what I mean? They're going to buy something that solves a big problem. So you got to really dig into that problem. You got to know your audience. You got to sell the experience, right? You got to sell the whole, not the drill. You got to raise the stakes. This has to be, you look at movies. No movie after 17 minutes. I'm going to say this again. No movie after 17 minutes has no big, huge problem. Meaning every movie. If you throw a movie at me, I'll tell you, because this gets us interested. Avatar, guy is paralyzed. He's going to all of a sudden take it. Yeah. So, Michael Corleone and The Godfather way back, he's about to take over the family business, which is pretty brutal business. But we like this guy. He's a good guy. He's going to go through a huge change. 3 Men and a Baby. I'm going old movies.
Everything. Yeah.
Every movie by page 17, it's about a page a minute. By page 17, huge life-changing event. Having a baby, not having a baby, getting divorced, saw a husband cheating. So, whatever it is, big change coming. You got to do the same thing in your marketing. Big stakes here, high stakes here. 6. Right. All right. Unlike my last answer, I'm going to do this one quick. This is keep it short and shareable. KISS. Not short and simple, but simple is good, but shareable. Got to make it so that people can share this, comment on it. Move it around social media, that kind of thing.
That's
Keep
a
it
good point. That's a better version of Kiss, actually. Short and
thanks.
simple. Simple, yeah, of course, but like shareable makes it simple and something that has value.
Yeah,
It's worth
exactly.
sharing. Yeah.
Yep. The add value, what you just said, is in all of these. I might need to do a rule 11, but add value is always a part of this. So,
Okay.
um, so again, but just on the story itself, like a scene or a commercial, maintain the mystery. This is the other problem with a lot of companies. They'll give everything they got in one video. Most people are never going to get through a 3 or 5 minute video, right? They're gonna cut out by second 4, second roughly 17, second 55, that kind of thing. Unless they're really engaged deep in the funnel, they're not going to go that long. So you got to tease them to take the next step. Maintain some mystery. Throw
What
the
kind of mystery
problem
would
out.
you, the accounting folks from earlier, how do you make, what does that mystery look like? How do you do that?
Well, let me go with like what you don't do is start digging into all the features and here's how it works and here's this and this and this. You want to tease them for the next video or the next step in the sales cycle. So the mystery would be, how do we do this? How is this so life changing? How is she able to go home and play with the kids in that story? I think she was going home to go play soccer, with the kids, I think, and leave work early. And the CEO, so they all have their own stories now. I think I
Yeah.
mentioned CEO now can, he can tabulate this without 15 people. He can see a number and he knows where he's at. So he's got his, so each one of those people, we want to learn, hopefully, we want to learn a little bit more about each one. So
Right.
then you're like, and what happens next? Or how do you do this? Let's dive
Mm.
in. And then the next piece of the marketing funnel picks that up. So
I
we don't
like
answer
that.
all.
Yeah, I see. I could see if you try to smush all that into one tweet, one headline, one video, 30-second video, it's just garbage. Not only are you trying to talk to everyone, but you're trying to like, how does the sounding accounting software work? Next video, right? Like
Right.
it's like this works and you have your life back. And you're probably wondering how. Well, the next video is like, how does this actually work? And then is it CEO? How does this work for the CEO? And like you can segment it out and speak to individual people, but not giving away the farm right off the bat. That's interesting. I think that's something that I don't think we think about a lot. I think we try to give everyone everything in every blog post and every sales conversation. Let's talk about everything. Let's just
Yeah.
resolve. It's almost like trying to resolve the conflict
So
now, you know?
yeah, I love what you just said. So I'm going to jump ahead to rule number 10.
Yeah.
Conflict is interesting. So the rule number 10, sorry, I jumped, but you just said
No,
it,
yeah.
that conflict is interesting. And as humans, we hate having something unresolved. It sort of is a needle in our side. You know what I mean? It's that loose thread. It's that like, I just, tell me, but you got to do it. You got to leave something. If you're in sales, you can't do everything for the customer. You need them to engage too. Can you
Right.
fill out this creative brief? Can you just give me these 3 points and I'll do some more for you? But can you do this? Like now you're engaged in building a partnership. But if you do everything for everybody, and you tell them everything all up front, kind of show up and throw up, death by PowerPoint, all that stuff. That's what we're avoiding with maintain some mystery, leave some breadcrumbs, leave a trail for the next step. Because if you do, the conflict is interesting. I'm a little conflicted. What do I do now? I'm going to come back to the expert. Well, who's the expert? The dude, the company that's given me, they know my audience, they disrupted my day, they're selling me an experience. These are the folks that know what they're doing. And look at all this content they have that's answering my questions. So
Mm.
that's why we kind of keep that, maintain the mystery. I'll jump to 8.
Well, real
So
quick though, I bet, I mean, especially your tie into film and video and commercials and story, Hollywood, just not only do we know there's a problem by minute 17, but it doesn't get solved, to your point, doesn't get solved minute 18, right?
right.
Because then it's like, cool, great movie, bro. Like, I'm on to the next one. You're like, God, what is going to happen? And especially with like the Netflix series or whatnot, where, Game of Thrones, it's a travesty what happened the last season. But other than that, they
Agree.
kept us wondering what was going to happen. And you didn't really know. And then eventually they passed the books and you're just like, gosh, what's going to happen? And there's people on YouTube speculating what was going to happen. It was awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until they just sort of like, okay, no more mystery, all done. And then it's almost like a magician telling their secret. Maybe you're not as interested anymore.
Good for you. What a great, I love that. I might actually change the visual to show that, mate.
Cool. Well, we're even then because I'm for sure going to use create once, repurpose forever.
Okay, great. Credit me, please.
Wait, repurpose what? Everywhere? Everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. So 8, you were
so,
saying.
oh, eight. Okay. So, this is a great one. So this is one that most companies are really uncomfortable with. They never want to go this route, but everybody loves an underdog. Everybody loves the underdog. We all feel that we're an underdog in some way. I'm too short. I'm overweight. I'm this. I didn't have this. Wasn't born with a golden spoon. I wasn't given 15 million in funding. I didn't, whatever it is. We all feel that, and it's normal. It's part of being human, with especially in society today, with everything that's being thrown at us. Everybody loves an underdog. So there's big advantages in being the underdog, right? And you can see this is really kind of cool is some of the campaigns for the big, like the Pepsi, Coca-Cola, the huge insurance companies, they started to make themselves look more like the underdog. And I was like, they did it. They adopted. I've been using these for 7 or 8 years. And they started to say, no, oh, we're falling behind, but we care about you. We're not the king. You're the king. You got 80 billion in revenue. We're still trying. They're going for the underdog route. But the small companies are afraid to say, hey, we're the underdog and we're taking on the big one, because they want to look bigger and trustworthy and that you can work with us. And sure, we're going to stand the test of time. So you need to build that trust. I understand that, but it's great. Everybody roots for, David versus Goliath, Harry Potter versus Voldemort,
Bro, you
Rocky
can't mention the
Balboa
name.
Creed.
It's the name that must not be mentioned. We're going to have to bleep
Not
that
be
out.
You're going to delete that?
Yeah, bleep.
Volta beep.
Don't want him showing up at either one of our houses.
That would be creepy. This podcast plays in Hogwarts.
No, oh my gosh, he shows up at every listener's house too, because the name just got mentioned. It's like when you say, "Hey Siri, play music." And somebody had this on,
Gotcha.
starts playing.
Siri's listening. I don't have that song.
All of our devices. I had a guest
Alexa.
on here, KJ, and she had like Amazon or something. So I was like, "Hey, Alexa, hey Alexa, play music," and it started. She's like, "No, cancel, stop." But no, this is a really interesting. I wanted to dive into this. The idea of the underdog. I've totally seen that. You said the big one to look small, the small one look big. I've seen this with graphics where big companies are kind of like reducing the pixel quality to make their graphics look a little more homemade. Meanwhile, the little guys are trying to make these like impressive feature films to make themselves look. How do you resolve that? Do you just slap the little guy around? It's like, no, you're in a cool position. Utilize that. Don't try to be something different. But where is there a balance there? What's your take?
So I've got a couple takes on it. So one is there's the story, and then I'd say there's the visuals. I mean, there's a lot of there's the story, and then literally script, and then visuals and that kind of thing. If you're small and you're going after small businesses or individuals, right? If you're selling, some consumer thing, right? A consumable, a cup of coffee or local restaurant or whatever. You're small and you're going after smaller. Are the local restaurant right now with everything that's going on. You want to be, absolutely being quote authentic, is going to be better. Like, hey, we're here, we're working. We'd love to see 50% of you, that kind of thing. Absolutely fine. You don't have a lot of budget, or you actually do, but you want to make it look a little more quote authentic and seem like you're really, in touch with the local folks. I think that makes a tremendous amount of sense. And we encourage clients to go that route because your audience responds well to that. Now, the other side is, let's say you're small and you're going after, Oracle, Cisco, Amazon, you're selling to those folks. Can go. I really don't think that you can go with this low budget, kind of homegrown, story in most cases. Like if you're telling an enterprise software to these massive multi-billion-dollar companies, you have to look the part. So, you know what I mean? So you do have to, again, it's know your audience is more than, be the underdog, I would say. But you can also say, you started off, you've been scrapping. The founder story is really, really powerful. So, you started off, you're scrapping, you took your lumps, you lost, but then you figured it out. And now you have this AI software, and now the software is doing this, and we did this and this and this, and we would love to work with you. And then, but it's bigger, it's a bigger look, it's a bigger budget, that kind of thing. You're still the underdog, right? You didn't say we've got 50 billion in revenue that we've, throw around. You're saying that you're the underdog, and you took your lumps, just like a 3-act structure. The epic, the storyline goes, big life change happened. You took your lumps, and then you're succeeding, and you want to succeed with them. You want to help them succeed. You want to be their partner in success. That's the way you do it. Make it, go bigger budget, but tell the story of the underdog, and that you're there to survive and thrive.
Right. And I think part of that ties into, when I think of like an underdog versus a big competitor, I was even asked the question about this recently. For one company, it was like, show me a list of, other customers you've had. And the underdog has a small list.
Right.
The established Goliath has like 30 pages of customers. And so rather than ignoring that and trying to pretend like we are the number one, clearly you're not. You have 4 on your list to their 40, calling out the lumps that you've taken, the fact that, but through that, you figured something out. And it's actually better to be with a group that only has 4 than it is to be with a group of 40 where you're going to be a number. You're not going to get the best.
That's it. So expanding on that, if you have 4 and you're tiny, what's the customer get? Amazing service. You call me, the founder, you call my head of technology. We can build this product geared for you. We are all, all we care about is you and your success. We're at that phase. We're not, you're going to get the kid that just graduated school, went through a month of training, is going to go handle your account.
Yeah.
That's what you get over there. Here, you're talking to me, the expert that's done this for 30 years or whatever it might be. But we are here to serve you. So that's the great opposite, right? So that's the underdog. I care about you and I mean it. Here's my phone number. Call me anytime or whatever it might be to help out. So
powerful.
Yeah.
And there's one left. Do we create the conflict and just not tell people what that one is?
Well, you don't want to go for number 9?
We should probably tell people what number 9 is. Like, if you want number 9, email me.
Come to this link. So
put in your credit card.
Exactly. Because number 9's the biggest. I saved it best for last.
Yeah, the best one. It's too good to be 10. We made it 9.
And it relates to all of them, really. And so it's keep it relatable. Keep it relatable. So again, still has to do with the audience, still has to do with all these. That's why it's kind of near the end. You got to make sure that you're relating to your audience. You don't want to seem, we talked about like that underdog one, for example. If you seem so high and mighty, and so you have, you only work with clients that have $1 billion in revenue, and you turned everybody else off. You're like, you're one of us, then I can really understand where you're coming from. I understand your pain. I've been there. So you got to be relatable. And I think it really, it goes along with the underdog, but not necessarily. And again, you don't have to use every one of these in every story, but you got to let them influence you.
Sure.
So being relatable. So, and this sometimes goes with, real sort of moonshot concepts that we'll throw out there to our customers when we come and kind of propose something like, hey, let's do a commercial like this. We'll usually do 3 or 5, 3, 4 or 5 different versions. Like, here's a really way far out there just to be totally fun, off the wall. We call that the moonshot, right? And then there's one that's really, and again, we just do it by the stuff. Like, this is a funny one. Here's one that, elicits fear, here's that kind of thing. But they're all going to be, relatable. People can relate to this in one way or another, not just like, so far out there AI technology that people are like, I have no idea what that is. Turn off.
Right. It kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if it was Ellen or something. Like, here's a tour of my mansion, my bathroom is so small. It's like as big as some people's apartments, I don't remember the full story, but I just remember there was like people being like, this is not relatable at all. Like,
right. But that's great that you brought that. I remember hearing it was her last stand-up, probably like middle last year. And she's like, And then I have, she had like 17 servants, right? Pedro, no, I wanted a quarter cup. Please throw that away and give me the quarter cup of coffee. Passing by, still walking, just passing the bathroom, And so I think
Right.
she's, but the way she did it, I feel like she made herself relatable by being so unrelatable. We don't have those, 17
Right.
bathrooms, 100-yard long, living room or whatever she really has. But by making fun of herself, by kind of goosing it up, I actually thought she did a great job with that. And I
Interesting, because
loved
I
her.
could have swore
Yeah.
the feedback was like it wasn't, but I guess it just depends on who the audience is too, and who she was going for. But some people were like, no, actually, we can't relate to that at all. But it's funny. It's like, but in the back of our minds, we're like,
What was it? So if it was the same one, if it was the same thing we're
right,
talking about, I'm not sure,
yeah,
um, but yeah, I mean, I thought she did again, I kind of thought she was sort of making fun of herself because she went beyond, like she doesn't have 17 servants and she doesn't have 100-yard long thing. At least maybe she
she doesn't.
does. I thought she didn't. So, and I guess probably, again, it's a little bit of the relatable is, my wife ran into her at the hospital here and she's very nice. And, like I hear those
Okay,
things
okay.
today.
So she is nice because wasn't there a thing about her being like a jerk?
Yeah, that came out and I was like, that's so surprising. That's, you never know what happens at work, but
True.
what seemed to what seemed to come out is, look, after here's my take. And again, I
Yeah,
have no idea. But
but you live in
I
LA, so whatever you say, we're gonna consider it final.
right, she's within 2
Final.
miles of me right now, so I must be telling the truth.
Right, right. She's in
Uh,
the same room.
exactly. Ellen, I'm about to give them the script that you gave me. She is the nicest, kindest
You're right.
person.
She's holding a taser to you.
Right.
So
So
yeah, so she good
I,
experience meeting her in
yeah.
the grocery
Oh
store. Or?
yeah, a very, very good experience. Again, this is kind of a funny thing. Like 20 some years ago, I went to a comedy club and she was there and she was super, super nice, maybe even longer ago than that. Like one of the first comedy shows I ever went to. And she was there and she was just super cool and nice and kind of stayed around afterwards and chatted. And I was like, oh, whoever this lady is, and then she just became bigger and bigger.
Wow.
What I was going to say is, I think what could have happened is, even especially even people that are listening that start their marketing or start their marketing department or start their agency or their company, and everybody for the first few years, and then if you keep growing and growing, you start to get these buffers, right? Then in Hollywood and with a TV show, you have your showrunner, your producer, that kind of thing, and then with her, obviously an assistant. So then she has this layer between her and then whatever anybody else has. And then one of these people or all these people will sort of become the boss. And then their culture, their attitude becomes what permeates. And I kind of looked at it as, I'm sure when she started the show, because she wasn't even working and then kind of got the show and then came out. I'm sure she was really involved. And then after, 15 or 20 years of doing it, you're like, I'm going to drive in, I'm going to be as great as I can. I'm going to drive home, and, and
Yeah.
whatever, come into this thing. And like, those people are running the deal. And so what I read was those people were absolute jerks.
Yeah. Sometimes you
Beating
can't
up.
tell. You can't tell because you're not reporting to them. So
Yeah.
you don't even know.
Yeah. So she's just getting their reports. And again, I believed it because, oh, 5 years ago, I had a kind of accounting, kind of assistant, but like heavy assistant, who I found out had oh had taken a lot of money
Oh,
and a
geez.
computer and like all these. I'm like, what? But this doesn't. After they left, so I'm like, wait a minute, where are my taxes? Why are the And then I get whole big story came out, but my gosh, she's been stealing. And like, I've been paying for all of these things. Like there's your Uber on here. There's thousands of this. I'm like, where did all this go? Cause I just trusted she had it all set.
Yeah.
And I believed in her. And a lot of things came out. That was a very tough year after that when I found out what was going on, that I had to kind of reconcile because it doesn't matter that she did it. It looked like I did it. Again,
Oh, it looked like it
personality
was
wise.
you. Oh,
Well, she
geez.
was taking my money. She was
Right.
taking my money, but there was also like, certain people weren't able to get into to meet with me and like, oh no, I'll handle this meeting. I'm like, oh, okay, great. And then I was like, that was a friend of mine. I know them. I wanted to be in that meeting. What is going on here? So I gave up too much, sort of management or control or whatever. It's like,
Oversight, right? Yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh no, she's doing a great job. And then meanwhile, I found out all that stuff that was really going on. And
Jeez.
that's why I was like, all right, maybe that's what happened with Ellen. Huh, I don't know why we
Well, I
just
mean,
did
that happened with Dane Cook. The
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
don't know that story.
Here's the story. It's his brother. He was like, he had his brother be his accountant manager or whatnot. He apparently stole millions from him.
Oh,
And when eventually someone was like, hey, let's check something out, he had like nothing
oh,
left. So all those
really?
millions from selling out arenas and everything, the guy
Yeah.
spent all of that. He had barely anything left. And it's his bro. And his bro's in jail now. It's like,
Wow. I did not know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
No. Yeah. That's
So it sounds like Ellen's good. Ellen, you're good. We heard it here. Hardcore marketing. You had some bad apples, some bad instigators. We'll
that's
set you
that's
free
what
of
I
them.
thought. That's what I thought. So let me finish the 10 rules of the story. I had a couple that aren't strong enough to be the rules, but are definitely
Wait. There's some commandments that just couldn't fit the tablet.
I
What are
could.
these?
It's like, and let there be an iPad tablet. And
Yes.
so these would show up on that. So just one more really, which is
Okay.
the ticking clock. So the ticking clock is the movie that, like, think about any action movie, every action movie that's out there, and pretty much every movie again, and every really good marketing campaign where if you're selling Dreamforce, is everybody signing up a year before? Yeah, your major sponsors and all that kind of stuff. But I would say in the last 30 days, it's going to sell out. You're not going to get a ticket. You're not going to get a hotel room. You're not going to get, that kind of thing. So
It's
that's
true.
one example. But you got to create a ticking clock. You got to create a sense of urgency, right? It's got to be critical. We talked about that. Got to disrupt the day. And then you got to all of a sudden squeeze in there. Timer's ticking. We can't accept more than 10 customers right now, or we're making these custom for 20 people, or, can you be one of the first 20? So ticking clock is a lot of things, but it's basically creating the urgency so people have to take action instead of just waiting till next week or next year or next quarter for the budget or whatever it might be. You got to be something that's really important.
It makes so much sense. I think back to some of the favorite movies. There was always some kind of tempo moving forward. You know, the examples I start popping in my head are just going to making me look pretty crazy, but like Willy Wonka, they're traveling along. Eventually they get to the end, but the kids are falling off the bandwagon. That Arrival movie with the aliens, like the Russians are going to attack or something. So there's this like ticking clock and it's back and forth and there's fast. Or that TV show 24, which I hated, but I know a lot of people loved, was like,
Yeah.
there was a clock. It's like tick, tick.
Literally a clock. Yeah. The
Literally.
exact, when you went to commercial and came back, right? Absolutely.
Did
And
they
then,
account for the commercials in the chunk? Did they?
they,
Or no, maybe it was just overall, like this is wherever you're at in the plot, you're at hour 19,
that's
right?
exactly it. Yeah. And one of the things about 24 that I'm living now, that I'm in Los Angeles, that I always thought was just hilariously wrong. Like, it's the traffic in this city, even now with half the people on the road, he's like, I'm in Redondo Beach. I'll make it to Burbank Airport. I'll be there in 6 minutes. Like,
Right.
there is no way in hell. It's gonna take you an hour. That show should have been like the ticking clock, him just bored in a car, trying to stop the terrorists, like beep beep, come on, let me through. That's how it really would have been. You could not do
Right. So
24
24 hours, he gets in the car. 5 hours left. Let's solve this crime.
hours. You can get around like at 2 a.m, maybe you can go from that
Right.
airport to this. But it was a great, way to amp the stakes up.
How do you
Raise
do that in business? How do you do that in B2B?
It was keep it short and shareable. How do you do that in business? How do you do it
Yeah.
in marketing?
Yeah.
So the ticking clock. So, again, examples would be, again, this is the ticking clock's going to be a little bit lower than top of funnel. The first is, I understand you. Please be aware that there's solutions out here. We are the solution that solves your problem. But then once you get down to that level, it's okay, we got to do this. It's a huge problem for you and we can help you solve it, but we got to do it now. And these are the reasons. You got to they're real or they're amplified and not exactly real, but you got to come up with some techniques are, we're filling up, we're going to be sold out. We can only manufacture so many, or this first run is this, or, we're taking, 10 founding members. or 1,000 founding members, or, be the first to do this and you get this. So it's all the lead magnet kind of stuff, but you got to get in there early. And so the ticking clock is, and also certainly could be a date, like we're releasing on this date and that's when the price goes up. That's sort of the most obvious one. Right now we're doing the, 30% discount, but on April 16th, we're going back to normal prices because the demand is just too high and we need it for manufacture, whatever. So lots of those kind of techniques in there for the quote ticking clock.
I think that one gets its own spot, man. That's a good one.
All right. The 11 commandments.
But no, you don't get 11. You have to kill one of the other ones.
It was funny when we went through it today, there was one that I felt like it was a touch repetitive, but they're all, when I really get into them, they're all very different, but
well, 10 was about
Underdog.
conflict, right?
Yeah.
And 7 was about mystery.
Yeah, well, you got them. Yeah, you're doing good. So conflict and mystery, but they're different, right? So mystery is, you can't give all your information at once. You gotta leave the pebbles. So people kind of follow the path through the customer journey. And then, yeah, conflict is interesting. Create conflict. I could almost switch that for an 11 or an overriding theme.
Yeah, and mystery is a kind of conflict too, right? Just, I don't know.
Yeah. You've given me something more to think about. And that means I have to get back and train. I got to change all these infographics, my training.
Marketing team's like, oh man.
Who is this Casey?
They just sent you a draft of like the latest version and you're like, I've changed my mind. Oh man. Well, my next question is like, who are you? How do you know all these things? And take me back in time, like little Maury days. Did you know you're going to be an entrepreneur, filmmaker, marketing savage? Was that in the cards early on?
No way. Well, I'll say this though. I was just infatuated by TV shows, commercials, like everything that came out that got my eyes glued. I'm like, I really was like, how are they doing this? I want to make these. I want to do this. But I'm this kid in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which, our claim to fame then was we had made, or that like literally like we are the Steelers. Like I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers and we made Dawn Night of the Living Dead, like as if I had anything to do with it. That was the big movie and George Romero and all this stuff. But that was it. Like we're thousands of miles away. So it was sort of just this dream and interest. So I do things happen that kind of, when I go back, I had a grass mowing quote service just to make some money in the summer. I'm like,
nice. How much per yard? Did you custom scope it or how was that?
Oh yeah, good for you. Yeah, I tried to be like, I got burned on the first couple. I was like,
like $20, like, and they're like, here's my yard.
Exactly. I was like, I thought your yard was this. No, we own this acre. That's why I said yes to your $20. Like, oh no. I really did get burned. It was this.
Did you like $20 in gas?
It was terrible. It was like the $20 just went in the garbage bags,
Right.
going and buying all those.
Oh God.
But I went around once I figured that out, then it was, like starting at 20 or something like that.
Right.
But I went through the whole neighborhood and my mom was a real estate agent and she had cool, real estate business cards.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll try to do that. And so I couldn't, print them out. I mean, I just wrote them. And so after a while, my hand was getting so tired because I wrote I think 100 to walk the neighborhood. And so, at first I was like, lawn mowing and lawn care, weed, like all this stuff. And then I narrowed it down. I was so tired. And my brother still reminds me of this. It became grass and other oddities. Call Maury. That was it. Grass and other oddities. So I just started handing those out. And so I got a phone call. Hello, we'd like the other oddities. And I'm like, what? You said you had other oddities. All right, kid. It's okay. Come on over. We're going to hire you for this. But your card was hilarious. And that's why we're calling. And so it was two things. One is, oh my gosh, what have I done? I handed out 50 cards that make no sense at all. And then, I'm selling grass and other oddities is I guess what it looked like. And and so then I was like, but humor actually works. This is kind of fun. I actually kind of figured something out there. Maybe you can have fun in, I didn't know these terms like fun in marketing and stuff and all this kind of stuff. I was like, this is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
that went well. And I got more lawns to mow than I literally could handle. So I had a friend start helping me out.
There you go.
This is, yeah. So
Now you're
like,
Tom Sawyer.
exactly. They're painting the fence and I'm drinking the lemonade.
Totally.
So I really was never like that. I was working my butt off, but that, I guess I could have been.
Wow.
And then sort of fast forward, sort of there's that, it was a big recession when I came out of school, and
Wait, you went to school for business
yeah. So
because you're like you had one already, so you're like I could learn more about this international business and
yeah, I was like international. So just the sound of international business really just literally just, again, I was thinking of the experience, right? And this is
yeah,
so funny. So the experience to me was flying in on like a corporate jet, meeting with people in Berlin, and then like I'm
yeah,
going to zip over to Tokyo and, catch some of the sites when I have a meeting and consult and say some really important things and fly back. And I was going down that path. And unfortunately, this person came in who's an international business person, who's actually an attorney, came in to speak with us for sort of like career day or whatever. But I have one semester to go. And I'm going through all these classes that truly, I can't say I didn't like them, but I didn't like them as much as what I really wanted to be taking. But I'm like, what am I going to do with communications and psychology? And like, I was interested in sort of acting and, that kind of stuff. And, production. I'm like, I'll never be able to make a living if I go that route. And my parents, I'm paying for it and they're paying for it,
they'd murder you. Yeah,
yeah. Like I can't, I'll have no skill. I need the skills. So let me go business. And so here's what happened. The guy comes in and like, I'm just like front row. What's it like to be an international attorney? What are you doing? And he went through this slog. He painted the picture. This experience was along the lines of, I wake up at 4, I fly to London. We're in meetings all day. They've scheduled another meeting for me the next day in Paris. So I see no sights. It sounds like it's great, doesn't it? But then I don't see any. There's no extra day because they've booked my schedule. So I'm on a train, I'm on a boat, I'm on a whatever, on a plane. And so I was like, but you just, and he went through this whole thing, question. You just named 20 cities. Did you see anything? No, I've not, I haven't seen, whatever, London Bridge, Tower of London. I'm like, that's terrible.
he had never seen like
Like in passing, sort
yeah,
of thing.
but he'd
But
never
his,
like oh man,
no. And I was like, two things. One is, this guy's not living the life that I think he should be.
right.
And number two, it sounds like international business sucks. So, and then I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to start off as some very, underling. And what were those classes that I really liked? So I took like a bunch of electives that last, I think it was last year. And, I just like jumped into communication and an advertising class, like, oh, this is so fun.
Yeah,
This is great. And it sort of led to a sales path, right? Which is what I ended up taking because I didn't major in advertising and marketing, things like that, but
right.
I just loved it. And so there was that. And so, I went into a big company, and I fought to get in. Like I was not like the greatest student. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I fought to get in. It was AT&T, like corporate side. So business to
Okay.
business, AT&T selling, so I was in sales. So, but all these marketing things came out like, here's your territory, literally, like, here's your patch of zip codes. You're going to go sell phone systems, networking equipment, fax machine. Like, is that long ago, right? Fax machine.
Yeah, right.
Right? They're on their way out, but we have 1,000. So you got to go sell them. And so this kind of thing. So I started putting these campaigns together. I put a Band-Aid on a letter and I sent it out like, do you have a pain? Well, we can solve your boo-boo, or just started
Yeah,
this
that's
crazy
cool.
stuff.
Just
And I
crazy
started getting
stuff.
these calls. Yeah. And I was like, well,
That's way more marketing than sales too. That's like clever.
yeah, thanks. Thanks. And then, then you get in the door and then you sell.
Yeah.
And I started winning, frankly, like all the awards. I mean, for whatever, 3, 4, 5 years, I was getting, all those trips and, this and Disneyland and Hawaii. And then it started getting better. Hawaii, West
Seeing
Indies.
the sights. Hell yeah, marketing.
Yes.
Hell yeah, sales. You should call that guy up and be like, hey, by the way, I think I've probably lapped you now. And
I saw you on the plane. I stayed an extra 3 days.
yeah.
You flew out.
Man.
So yeah, and then and so it started going really well. And then I said, let me try a really small guy. After 7 years, I was the young guy, but I really was doing grew territories and all this kind of stuff. But they're like, you're going to make this much and we're going to stop you. I'm like, I'm starting to have friends and people out there that do make more than this barrier you've laid out. And so I started talking to some other, real small, basically competitors of us. And I, again, fought my way in the door. Talk about being an underdog. That took me a year to get into this company. And when I got in there, I just everything I could do. And it was
Yeah.
literally that, like, I'll fly here, I'll go there, I'll do this kind of thing. And we exploded. We went from, barely any revenue to 44 million in revenue. And then Cisco
Jeez.
came along and bought. Oh, this is a cool story. Here's the big framing point. Cisco came along and we heard the rumor they were going to buy us for $1 billion. Okay. So we have, so we're pretty, we're all of us are early employees. We have some stock. We're
Oh,
very
nice.
excited about this, it's
Doing the
going to be
math, calculating it out.
absolutely every night. Just what can I do? What can I buy? Can it be this much? This much? And so we have this big meeting, and things are coming together, and they bring in the new head of the division. Like our VP is going to kind of step aside. The new division will take over, and he comes in there, and we're just, I mean, literally, it's champagne and like big sales meeting. All these big personality folks there, and the whole thing. He walks out, and it's like he's like a shark that's about to feed, like two black eyes just staring at us, looking at us like we're nothing. Like,
Yeah,
whoa,
like the dead eyes. They're just predator eyes. There's no
yeah,
person
exactly.
behind them. Yeah.
Nothing. And he said, I got three things to say to you. You're cheering yourselves on. You think you did great. Well, you did, but you know what? That's last year. It doesn't matter now. Second, you don't achieve and overachieve by 50% in this next quarter, I will fire you. We're about to be purchased. If we hit certain marks, you don't go over by 50%, you're fired. Hey, you sales managers out there, you think you're okay? I'll fire you too. And he walks out. He points to a guy. Come with me in the hallway. And he fired him right there. And like, this was no Glengarry, like this was the real thing. I'm talking about like a change in that room was like the air got sucked out of it. Like, what is happening? We have to, we did everything we could to get to that point. Now we had to overdo it, overachieve. So we did it. We did get purchased. We did break the records. We did everything we could. I thought this guy was, I thought he was an animal. All right. Now
Yeah.
I've not too long ago, years I stayed in touch. And so I talked to him a few years ago, and he actually told me this. He's like, yeah, because I told him the story. I said, you scared everybody. He's like, you know what? I had to, because when they bought us, they wanted to get rid of all the people. They just wanted the technology. So I had
Oh,
to light a fire. And I was told that the night before. I had a whole different speech ready. But when they told me that, it's like, I got to save these guys' jobs. They can't know all these things. How can I motivate him? He's like, and he was a bit of a badass, this guy.
yeah. He sounds it.
This isn't like some softy. I mean, I'm sure he's told that speech
Little
before.
Alec Baldwin.
Exactly. But like, this is the real thing. And this is
Wow.
the kind of guy, he jumped on a bicycle in Boston and ended up in Los Angeles. I mean,
Wow.
he biked across the country, over
Jeez.
like 6 weeks, so
So he
intense
had
guy.
to do that to inspire everyone so that they would perform so well that the company would definitely want to keep them around.
Exactly. And it worked. And it
Wow.
worked for a few years actually. And then they sort of absorbed it. But so I stayed on there, and I was like, that's a defining moment. So I want to do my own thing. But the stock spiked, and then it crashed a year and a half later. It went from 81 to 4.
Cisco?
Yeah. This is
Holy
back in,
shit.
this is so back in the day. So Cisco crashed, and it's never hit those highs again. Now it's like hovers around 48 or whatever, but that's like 20 years ago.
Jeez.
So I was like, all right, all that work, flying, we're doing all this stuff. What did it lead to? It led to millions, and now nothing. I had nothing. In fact, I owed more in taxes than I had. I was the luckiest guy for, 9 months, and then I just was gone. So that sucked. And I was like, all right, time to rebuild. What did I want to do? What did I want to do 15 years ago?
Yeah.
My company is going to be OGP. Only good people need apply. You got to have passion. You got to like what you're doing. You've got to really be creative. Again, that's the skills that we need here now, right? And we're going to have fun doing this stuff. We're going to create cool things with good people.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I don't want to have that speech. I don't want to tell anybody I'm about to fire you. I want to go the other route. So OGP,
Yeah.
good people. And then, thing led to another, like I'm going to, I did, produce the 2 movies. I did stand-up comedy. I acted in some things like these sort of dream shows. Somehow I got my way onto Entourage, which was this show like 10 years
Wait,
ago.
you've been on Entourage?
I was on Entourage. Yeah.
No shit. What
I was,
what episode? What season and what episode?
I forgot the name of the episode. It was, it was when it was still good. It's like season 2 or 3. I was just a press guy. I was asking Vince some questions, and it was right near the Aquaman release. I remember now the storyline. Remember, he was going to be Aquaman, and well before Jason Momoa and the real movie was made. So we're at like some theme park, and I'm asking some questions, and then actually I'm the same size as Kevin Conley, so they had me come back, and I was his stand-in for a couple of weeks.
Oh, I see that.
So I'm on the set of these little like mega mansion where they lived and they filmed. Sorry, the characters lived, but they just rent this huge house out and they filmed there like it was their house. So I went up there for a couple of weeks and I was like, this is awesome. This is really amazing. And so I did that. And then, ended up realizing I don't, when you're an actor, it's the turning on and off of those emotions. And you're very much again, I don't want to belittle it because it's very hard. I thought I'd be great. I was not great at all. But you got to like,
difference. You thought you'd be great. Like what were you not great at? What was
so a couple things. One is like having the same level of heavy emotion, whatever it might be, exuberance, happy, serious, solemn, crying, that kind of thing. I could do most of that. Not at the level a lot of these folks, but to do it 20, 40, 60 times in a day, I wasn't able to do
multiple takes.
They're doing the over the shoulder take. They're doing like this when that person's talking, right? I got to do it for them. And then I come back and then here, and then there's the wide, and then there's the side. There's 3 or 6 angles they take. So you're doing the same thing again and again and again. I don't know if people realize that.
It's no, like I didn't realize that. Yeah. I was kind of hoping you'd have like 3 cameras going at once so that you could like,
that's what I always
thought. Efficient.
That's what I always wanted. I really did. But the lighting is so precise, right? It's got to be perfect. So they move all the lights that way. And then, the other angle, you don't want a camera lens showing up like boop, because now this one's pointing at you kind of thing.
Right. And the lighting would be bad for that one if you set everything to be good for this one. So you really can't do more than one at the same time. Exactly. And that's why they have the little guy looking through the little thing like, oh, what does it look like? Only in that one shot. Wow. So they got to do that. Even if it's successful, even if you nail it, 3rd take, you got a bunch more camera angles to do for all those scenes. Wow.
And so the good example, there's a movie out now that's probably gonna win some awards, The Trial of the Chicago 7. It's basically a courtroom movie, Ali G, Sacha Baron Cohen, and like, all these.
Okay.
So, but
I'll check that one out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's really good. And, but what I was gonna get to is these courtroom scenes, they are 80 takes. Takes meaning like the same set of dialogue 80 times. You want to get it. So they do like, 4 or 5 times for this guy. And then it's 4 or 5 for this one. And then for her, she has this spot. So we're going to get her. And then we have her and then them. And then it's this. And then you have this side of the room. And then you have this side of the room. Then you have the judge. Jeez. Then you have the audience, like all these angles, like, oh my gosh, those courtroom scenes are. Anyway, so I was in one of those courtroom movies. Like, I don't know if this is for me, but I could do what that guy's doing. I think I just have to learn. How do I put together the project and how maybe I can direct it and, that kind of thing. So that's when I sort of moved, let me see if I can make some things. And I made some short form things after 2 feature films. And I contacted the folks on the feature film. I was like, what are you guys doing? What's your next project? And here was the answer from most people. Ready?
Yeah.
I don't have anything. Why? What do you got going on? I was like, whoa, you just were director of photography for this. He's like, yeah. corporate stuff is great. Commercials are awesome. I was like, I can do that. I came from that world. Maybe I can contact some of my old folks. We can do some commercials, or even I was like, let me do web commercials, because commercials are these million, $2 million things that are owned by
Right.
a few agencies. But this is, 10, 12 years ago. I was like, I know the web is going to take off. So we just need more speed, and video is going to take off. So let me put myself right there. And so we started shooting and doing commercials and kind of, explainer videos, what became explainer videos, that kind of thing, the corporate video. And I was like, let me try animation, because I had a year where this actor showed up not knowing their lines. This one came in with some trying some new weird accent that was not like, what is going on here? I was like, this isn't what we auditioned you for, and that kind of thing. But oh no, I created this thing. Like, I'm gonna try some animation. Maybe I can just do
Yeah. Get
animation.
rid of the actors.
Yeah. And then that took off. And so we
Wow.
ended up doing, like, the next year we did 100, and so that was kind of the start of, okay, great. Now I can get good people doing creative stuff, cool things, and then help these companies that have a real pain, which is they're sitting there talking about bits and bytes and speeds and feeds and the size of their chip or whatever. And I can help them tell a real story. So we started
Wow.
doing that. And then, that's a very abbreviated path of 30 years, but that's how it went.
Man. Man. And that sounds like way more fun, though. It's cool that you were in Ocean's 13, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you had a lot more fun being the creator as opposed to being just one of the pastels in the painting.
Oh, that's a nice way. Dude, I love that. Pastels in the painting. Absolutely. And then the other thing is, these movies, even Ocean's 13 and any of those large ones, are even longer. But even for the smaller films that I produce, I mean, they're 3 to 5 year chunks of your life. People
Wow.
don't realize, like, oh, I just raised $10 million and we're going to go shoot the movie and then release it. Everything is a struggle. You get to the raising the money, then getting the actors that you can
Yeah.
possibly afford to get them in it. So you're selling, putting this thing together. Then the 6 or 8 weeks you film it's long, 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 long days. I mean, it's like I said, and it's very repetitive, which you don't realize until you're there. And then you have probably 6 months or a year of editing it to make it good, while you're selling it to distribution and different, media channels to get this thing out there. Ours were on HBO and Showtime and in theaters, but everything is frankly marketing and sales. So that's why I was
Jeez.
like, I'm doing all that, but I have one thing to show after 4 years. Maybe I can go for the, 30-second to 2 minute variation. And now we make multiple, and it's so fun. It's a different story every week that we're creating.
And now I see why core matters so much, repurposing content, because it takes so much to put into one of those. Make a 30-second. You already have the sunk cost of all the creation of it.
Yeah.
So it really makes sense for some of the more expensive media to repurpose the shit out of that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Killer. Killer. And then you tell your kids all that, and they're like, "Dad, you were an Entourage." You're like, "Oh God, you're not listening to anything I've just been
That's what you
saying."
got out of that?
Is that what you got on this?
So,
Man. Well, I have a hypothetical question for you.
yeah.
I may or may not have a time machine in Nashua, New Hampshire, here where I'm at. Let's be fair. It's in the backyard. It's covered with a tarp.
All right.
So
Doc Brown. All right.
basically, Marty. So it's covered in a tarp. COVID's over. We brush the acorns off, get the squirrels out of there. We clean it off. You get to use it. Come visit. We'll have some lobster. It'd be fun. And then you
Oh
get to
my
use this
gosh,
time
that'd be
machine.
amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The whole experience. And there's urgency.
Yeah.
And then we'll use the 10 Commandments. Now you use this time machine. It goes back in time to a particular point in time. You actually get to go see yourself 4 or 5 days after you graduated with that undergrad. You got that international business and all the electives you're jonesing for. You just graduated. A couple days later, in case you had a party, and
Okay.
you get to see yourself and meet yourself. And unlike Back to the Future, you get to talk to yourself. What kind of advice would you tell yourself, little Maury back then? What would you tell yourself based on what you've seen and heard and experienced?
So, man, that's a really good one. Like, you painted that picture in a way that started getting my mind to really create some things. So first I'd say go buy Google stock, like period.
Amen. Yeah.
All right. So go do that, dude. I don't care what you, $200, fine. And then me of 2021 will be very happy that you did.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you. Um, I think the thing would be, and when I really think about this, I guess it's a couple things. One is I have a tendency to chase the shiny thing, right? I would really tell myself to focus and you do you. You be you. Like, don't chase other things, other people, that kind of thing. Because there were a period of years there, I kind of had to, model, emulate, that kind of thing. And I think that's totally fine. Find people that are successful and learn from them and that kind of thing. But, like do it my way. I was sort of trying to fit into a different mold, be super corporate. I was always sort of the youngest one. And I felt like disadvantaged. So I'd wear the glasses and like a more expensive suit than I could afford and, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
like, just again, this stuff about the underdog, like just be you. People, will like you if you're out there solving problems. So I think and then there was that, you be you, and then focus. There were so many, and I'm serious, like inventions and software and companies and things that I created and sort of handed to somebody else because I love seeing the trends and what's coming next. And I've been too early in some cases or just didn't have the time. So it's like, so I've tried this, and it never gets that far. It would really be just focus. Pick the thing that solves a problem that I like. Solve a problem for people. If there's a real need, there's a real hole there, solve the problem and then dig in. And when I think about the successful areas of my career, the most successful was like, I was the subject matter expert. I mean, I knew everything about the stuff and people would come to me and, ask me the question, who did this? What happened here? What competition? I knew it all. So I was not just knowing it all and being a textbook, but could tell the decent story about it. So I think I would have started earlier. I would have done all the things that I did, but I could have I would prefer to start this phase a little earlier. Start
Yeah.
to create for other people, do these things. It was always in there. I just sort of had to put a structure around it. So I just needed to focus on it. Is
Yeah.
that an answer that makes sense?
Hell yeah, man. It's that period of time when you're like lost in the desert. We're all kind of trying to find ourselves. And once you do, and it starts to really like the gears all click,
Yeah.
it's like it's time. And it just wasn't time yet to start the thing, so you did all that sales, you just really pushed. But then eventually it was like, it is the right time. I remember I had a really shitty interview one time with this. It wasn't, he was kind of like the shark, but actually like that was his soul. I don't know. But I went to the interview in person because I thought I've been flown to an interview, right? It's the one
Yeah.
time it ever happened. I thought, wow, like I've made it. I'm being flown to an interview
Yeah.
in New York City,
Yeah.
and met the guy in a boutique hotel. I don't even know the name of it because I assumed I was never going to stay there. So I don't know. Full of a bunch of rich people that own businesses, right? Um, and he was pretty late, about 15 minutes or so, but I was there early. I was like 15 minutes early, so I was just ready to go.
Yeah.
We sat in the hotel bar, and then throughout this interview, which was intense, his friends kept trickling in to the hotel and into the bar, and they're at another table. He's like, "Oh, hey, good to see you. Yeah, I'll be with you in like 10 minutes. I'll be right there." Right. And so what I thought was I'm really important was no, he's really important. I'm just a blip on his radar. Right.
Yeah.
And it was like, what is this? And so after, constantly, and he was planning dinner with his friends for afterward. And me being naive, I thought, oh, he's gonna invite me to dinner, right? No. It's not that kind of a company. And so after that interview, I was pissed. I called my wife, I called my dad. I was like, I don't want to be a blip on someone's radar. I want
Yeah.
to be the radar.
Yeah.
And I was like, if they don't hire me, I'm gonna start a company. And of course they hired me though, but it just wasn't the right time. But I was I was, like, yeah, like you had that period of time where you were succeeding. It just wasn't the area you're going to end up in.
Yeah. 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 But the lessons there were fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm happy about the lessons that I had there and that I learned and that kind of thing. So, um, but it wouldn't happen, again, it's kind of like it wouldn't happen unless I had really focused. And that's the thing that kind of slides away,
Yeah.
like this sounds good. That sounds good. when I focus, man, I get some things done. It's like I think it's John Lee Dumas. He's a podcast guy and has a really good one, but it's I think his acronym for focus is um ah, follow one course until successful. Got it. Follow one course until successful. And I like that a lot. I learned that far later, I mean, like probably in the last year, but focus has always been the thing. So sorry to
Wow.
bring up your competition or whatever, but
No, no, no,
that's
no.
a good acronym.
Oh, no, that's fine. What that
I like
him?
me an acronym.
No, no, no. I like your acronyms. I'm getting kind of addicted to them. This is great. But no, this John Lee. So his last name is Dumas.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that like the commercial where the guy says like, "Oh, Mr. Dumbass, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to interview for a job at your
I
company,
think,
Mr.
I,
Dumbass."
I think it happens to be one
The guy's like,
S, but
"That's Mr. Dumas." Okay,
that's Mr.
John, that's a great one though. Follow one course until what?
Successful.
Until
Yeah,
successful.
yeah,
Yeah, focus and intention is just so powerful, right? Especially when you're
yeah.
coming up with ideas and you can follow all of them or none of them. Um, to
But you got to
pick
be,
and go.
yeah. And that's it. Otherwise, you're in, analysis paralysis and that kind of thing. You can just keep following all these different paths. I mean, but now I've sort of, I think now I've learned how to channel it. So I've got literally a folder called Sandbox. So I come up with ideas, I come up with, and I want to keep on doing that,
That's
but I
cool.
throw them in the sandbox. And once a quarter or so, I'll go back in. Do I have time to execute on one of these? And then, and frankly, like one of them now is the video bot. So you've mentioned I'm CMO of the video bot. That was
Yeah.
a sort of passion finding a need with my customers. Like they come to us for like the big marquee pieces, but they need to be able to make videos and they need to disrupt and stand out. And there's, I mean, 97% of the companies that get in touch with us, over the years, they can't afford until
Yeah.
even recently, can't afford to work with us. So I was like, I got to fix this. I got to fix this. So I finally focused on that, created this thing. They can go in, they can make their own video in like 30 seconds. Boom, video pops out. They're ready to roll. They got an explainer video. They got a sales video. They got a whatever. So it's, so that thing's live. And that came out of,
What's
I
the
had,
address
I
for that?
had
How do I
focus.
video bot?
Oh, the video bot. Thanks. The videobot.com. And so it takes a lot of what we've been talking about, and I threw it into some software, and then you can go in and just type up a message. Like you could, and what's really cool is they're interactive videos, so people can click on hotspots in them, and they're personalized because you're making them. So what we did is you can create one for Bob, one for Janet, one for June, one for Sally in seconds. So they get
Wow.
a personalized video instead of like one video for everybody to look at. I can go in there and make one for each particular person. And how does that not disrupt their day? They just heard and saw their name, maybe their photograph as well, like a Facebook profile, pop up, or their website pop up in a video. They're like, they just spent $10,000 just to reach out and get in touch with me. I will talk to these folks. So like the engagement rates are huge with this software. And the cool thing is it's $20 a month. It's not it's not
Oh
10,000.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna have to have you come back and just talk video for a couple hours because that
Okay.
topic alone is just there's something about video that really
It's
grabs
it's
people.
yeah, it's engaging. Nobody's
Yeah.
reading anymore. I mean, it's everything has to be visual. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be, a full length, like movie or that kind of thing, or $50,000 corporate video, but it's got to be visual and you've got to make things move. So your video is massively engaging.
Yeah. Man, good stuff. Where are some of the places people can contact you? We've got the videobot.com. What are the other URLs? And what social platforms should people reach out and connect with
Thanks.
you on?
Thank you. Yeah. LinkedIn is the best. I'm
Okay.
really up to speed on LinkedIn, just kind of focused there. So it's Maury Rogow at LinkedIn or RIP Media Group. That's a really good one. And then, RIP Media Group is sort of the hub, for all things, video and visual and storytelling. But the two offshoots are the video bot, the videobot.com. So you can make your own video. And then I have a course that you can get to from either of those, but it's really cool. It's called Lights Camera Sales. So lightscamerasales.com brings you to a page where you can take a course in a lot of what we talked about today, because we talked for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So we covered some things, but it really is like, these are the things that I hire for. These are the things I need people to come in. And so we end up training people. This is how you direct and produce. And then we take our customers through this, 1,000 of them, right? So over the years, and I was like, let me just put that out there. Let me just put a course out there. This is how you create a great story and how you create a great video. So it's like and literally like the mecca, the top of, here's how you produce and direct and create great explainer videos or corporate videos or culture videos. It's all right there in a course. So
Yeah.
that one's lights, camera, sales.
Wow. I'm stoked. I'm looking at the site right now. And the course sounds awesome. So if I'll have to get a link from you. We'll put it in the show notes. People can kind of link right through to it. There's this thing on the video bot where it says, 20 seconds. You convert this, and one button says make a video now. The other button says no, I don't want to be awesome. Love that. And
Thank
if you
you.
click the I don't want to be awesome, you go nowhere, which is a great metaphor for everything. Dude, this has been awesome. So much fun. I mean, literally the time is like warped by. And
Agree.
yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for coming on here and just hanging out with me.
This is great. I feel like we're just sitting down, just BSing over a beer or a drink. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, you would think, but even on my end, man, I've been learning a bunch. I literally have 2 pages of notes over here. I ran out of
Wow.
room, so I'm writing like hieroglyphs on this thing to try to like make room for it. But this has been legit. So thank you again for coming out here, teaching me all these things, the 10 commandments, the epic, the storytelling. It's great to finally meet someone from Ocean's 13 and Entourage.
It's been a long time coming for you. You wanted to do that.
Long time coming. I
Gotta
met
meet
someone
an Ocean's
famous for the
13
first
icon.
time, all the travels. And yeah, definitely stay in touch, man. This has been great.
Great. I would love to. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, for everyone listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.